Most liked comment gets pinned. Let's see who wins. Good luck.
I think it's mixed. I think that once she saw Meghan when she came to London in 2016, 2018, and she reached out to Victoria to get freebies.
Tom Bower just dropped claims that sound explosive. He called it a terrible failure of judgment. And now the spotlight is back on Meghan Markle, the late queen, and that controversial Netflix deal that has people talking non-stop.
And I must say, it's always beyond Meghan. Meghan doesn't believe in reconciliation. Look at her appalling relationship with her father. She's a hard nut.
Meghan left Britain and then did the Oprah Winfrey interview. It's been really poisonous.
According to Bower, what happened around the Jubilee was not just awkward, it was dramatic on a whole different level. We're talking about the Buckingham Palace balcony, that historic spot the whole world recognizes from royal celebrations, the place where senior royals wave to massive crowds and mark big moments in history. Bower says Meghan and Harry allegedly had their eyes locked on that balcony for one major reason: the perfect camera shot. For years, critics have whispered that fame and money were part of their priorities, and Bower now claims this moment proves it. In his version, it wasn't just about family. It was about optics, headlines, and high-value footage. Bower, the author of Revenge, sat down for an intense interview and hinted that his upcoming work will reveal even more behind-the-scenes palace secrets. He paints a picture of strategy, not spontaneity. According to him, appearing on that balcony beside the king and queen sends a loud message: I belong here. It's not just a wave to the crowd, it's status, symbolism, and global visibility. Tens of thousands gather below cheering, but if you're up top, you become the face of the moment. Now here's where it gets even more serious. Bower claims Harry and Meghan allegedly returned to Britain during the Jubilee with a filming agenda in mind. He suggests they had specific moments they hoped to capture. And at the top of that list was the balcony shot. In his words, it was almost like checking off scenes. Balcony moment, family interaction, historic backdrop. That's the allegation he's putting forward.
It's more than proximity, it's membership.
Yeah.
When you stand on the balcony, you're part of the royal family. You're part of the target of tens of thousands of people in the Mall down to Buckingham Palace.
The tension reportedly grew inside the palace walls. During the Jubilee, the Queen was in very delicate health. What looked like a family visit on the surface, Bower claims, may have had another layer, creating content for their Netflix series. He alleges cameras were intended to document private time with the Queen, but then came a firm intervention from a lady-in-waiting who stepped in and said 5 clear words: no cameras, no pictures.
Cheering and attesting to their support for the monarchy. So to be on the balcony with the King and Queen and William and Kate would have been absolutely invaluable to Meghan and Harry. Of course, that was denied to them, and now they needed even more.
That line, according to Bower, shut everything down immediately. If Bower's account is accurate, palace officials drew a sharp boundary. Private family time was to remain private, especially during such sensitive months. The image he describes is not chaotic, but controlled. The palace reportedly understood what was at stake and made it clear that certain spaces and moments were off limits. No filming, no exceptions. Bower argues the deeper issue isn't just one denied photo. He claims it reflects a bigger mindset, that public image and production value were always part of the plan. He suggests the Jubilee, the balcony, and even family interactions carried potential media value. In his telling, what should have been intimate moments risked becoming structured scenes for a global audience. He goes further, saying the trip back to England was carefully timed and carefully planned. The Jubilee in this version was not just tradition, it was a stage. Cameras were central to the strategy, he alleges, but palace leadership reportedly refused to allow it. Access denied. Boundaries set. End of discussion. One particularly sensitive claim Bower raises involves their children being present during the visit. He does not accuse wrongdoing, but he suggests their presence may also have been part of the planned narrative for the series. That allegation has sparked strong reactions, with some seeing it as strategic branding and others defending it as normal family inclusion. Either way, the debate is loud, and just when the situation couldn't feel more intense, Bower ties this tension into the wider challenges facing the monarchy, and including...
But she has been a huge curse on the British royal family and on Britain now even more. And one doesn't know how her daughters are going to cope with it. I mean, she was pretty ruthless in her use of her daughters.
The ongoing fallout surrounding Prince Andrew. He argues that controversies like these create pressure on the institution itself. According to him, the royal family is navigating storms from multiple directions at once. Whether people believe Bauer's version or question it, one thing is clear. These claims have reignited a fierce public debate about privacy, loyalty, and the price of global fame. This matters because while the palace is busy handling the Prince Andrew crisis, Tom Bauer claims Harry and Meghan are watching closely and calculating their next move.
There was a very important moment when they brought their children to meet the Queen in Windsor. And as they walk into the room to meet the Queen, a lady in waiting steps forward and says, "No cameras, no pictures." And that's the one reason they came to England.
He suggests they see instability as a moment to step back into the spotlight, and then he drops a claim that sounds straight out of a thriller, but he believes there could be undisclosed recordings tied to Andrew. If anything like that ever surfaced, Bauer argues, it would shake the monarchy in a serious way. According to Bauer, King Charles was warned that more damaging headlines could be coming from the United States. He says there was a tip from Washington suggesting further revelations were on the horizon. That's when Prince William reportedly flew to Balmoral for urgent talks. Bauer describes William as deeply frustrated, especially after Andrew attended a London funeral and appeared publicly despite the controversy. William allegedly told his father, "This cannot continue." That pressure, Bauer claims, pushed the king to act. Soon after, Andrew was removed from Royal Lodge, stripped of military roles and royal duties, and quietly sidelined. The message was clear: distance the monarchy from further damage. But Bauer argues that while the palace was focused on crisis control, Harry and Meghan were focused on positioning. In his telling, they saw weakness, they saw distraction, and they saw leverage. Bauer calls it a serious challenge for King Charles. Britain's image was already under strain, and the last thing the crown needed was more tension coming from California. Then he shifts to finances.
The king is battered by the Andrew saga. The one thing he doesn't want now is even more controversy with Harry and Meghan, which of course is just what they do want.
And this is where his claims get even more dramatic. He argues their media momentum has slowed sharply. Netflix has not confirmed new major projects. Public ventures have struggled to gain traction. And the high-profile deals that once made headlines are not flowing the same way. He paints a picture of rising expenses and shrinking income. Montecito property costs, security, staff.
Yeah. Because they're going to find more interest in themselves to get another series, to get some sort of exposure, to get money. I mean, that's what they're all about now.
It adds up fast. According to Bauer, they are maintaining a luxury lifestyle while major revenue streams appear uncertain. He claims one-time projects, like Harry's memoir, delivered a payout, but not long-term stability. Meghan's podcast ended, and brand launches have faced challenges. In his view, the financial cushion isn't what it used to be. Bauer argues that leaves them with one powerful asset.
Meghan is deeply unpopular here. And as the Queen's last words were, "You can't be half in and half out." And that's what they'd want.
Their royal connection, the Sussex titles, the history, the link to the monarchy, that's the core of their global brand. But he claims that connection only holds value if it stays visible. If the public starts to see distance instead of ties, the commercial appeal weakens. That's the high-stakes angle he lays out. He goes even deeper, saying this isn't desperation.
On the other hand, William, under no circumstances, in my opinion, would allow Harry to come back, and Meghan would be certainly stopped midway across the Atlantic.
It's strategy. Every public appearance, every headline, every carefully timed moment keeps their association with royalty in the public eye. Bauer suggests that without that association, projects lose weight. With it, they still command global attention. He also claims major royal events become media opportunities. Jubilees, state occasions, high-profile gatherings. He argues these moments offer maximum visibility. In his version, nothing is random. Handshakes, smiles, positioning, all carefully managed for impact.
Their problem is that they've got no future. I mean, as ever, all her products, of course, is a complete disaster. She's got no Netflix series. She hasn't got any project at all.
That doesn't mean wrongdoing, but Bauer believes it reflects sharp media awareness. And the palace, he says, is not unaware. That's why restrictions tighten. That's why private rooms stay private. That's why boundaries are reinforced quickly and firmly. The monarchy, In Bauer's telling, understands the risks of mixing family time with production value. He even points to timing. When the monarchy faces distraction or pressure, he claims it creates an opening. Not coincidence, calculation. Chaos, he argues, can become opportunity for visibility. Then he circles back to the financial question again. He claims their charitable foundation activity appears limited compared to its early launch buzz. If income streams don't grow and projects don't reignite, he suggests their reliance on royal association becomes even more critical. Whether people agree with Bauer or not, his claims paint a tense picture. Strategy, survival, and a monarchy navigating pressure from every direction at once. Business ventures stall out, major launches lose momentum, and one-time projects like books and podcasts don't automatically turn into steady income. That's the picture Tom Bauer lays out. He argues that what once looked like a wave of success has slowed.
A very splendid competition for wounded servicemen is going to start in Birmingham next year, but there's a rehearsal later in the summer. And Harry is determined to come, and if he could, he'd bring Meghan and somehow work his way back in.
And now much of their value rests on one fragile pillar, the royal connection. And if that link weakens, one lost title, one damaging headline, one public fallout, and the shine could fade fast. This is where Bauer says the strategy goes beyond money. In his view, it's about survival in the spotlight. Every interview, every appearance, every carefully timed statement keeps their name circulating. He suggests that when the palace is distracted, especially with ongoing issues like the Andrew scandal, it creates openings for fresh headlines, not random moments, but calculated timing, he claims. Bauer also hints at tension behind the scenes over media control. He suggests Harry and Meghan want to frame their story their way, to protect a premium, polished image tied to royalty. But the palace, he says, sets limits, and when private family spaces are involved, like the balcony moment or time with the late Queen, those limits become firm and immediate.
So that they have state. My feeling is that the king might be slightly sympathetic, but it'll be stopped by William and Camilla. The one thing they don't is Harry and Meghan parading together in Britain. And I think that they don't know at the moment how to play.
According to his account, that push and pull has become a quiet battle over narrative and visibility. He describes it as high stakes. One wrong move could weaken what remains of the Sussex brand. Yet Bauer portrays them as persistent, always watching, always planning, always ready to step into the public eye when opportunity appears. In his telling, their last major asset is clear: proximity to the crown. Protect that link and the brand survives. Lose it and everything changes. Bauer's overall message is sharp. He says they are walking a tightrope. Past choices, financial pressure, and dependence on royal status create urgency, but also determination. Every ceremony, every palace gathering, every public royal moment becomes potential content. A headline, a viral image, a reminder that they are still connected to the institution, even from a distance. That's why the balcony matters so much in his analysis. A photograph alongside William, Catherine, and the king is more than symbolic.
The wheel will come round and she'll be back in the spotlight. And she seeks the spotlight, as she did the other day. I mean, she can't exist without featuring somewhere. And it's all gone wrong for her. And Meghan doesn't like things going wrong for her.
It's visual proof of status. Visibility equals relevance. Relevance equals influence. Without that royal link, Bauer argues, they risk blending into the broader celebrity world where attention shifts quickly and loyalty is thin. He quotes a long-standing royal principle often repeated during the late Queen's reign: you cannot be half in and half out. Bauer believes that rule still shapes the palace's stance. In his view, the Sussex approach attempts to balance independence with royal benefits, public recognition without traditional duty, and that balancing act, he claims, creates tension that has never fully settled. Then Bauer expands the lens and brings in Sarah Ferguson. He describes her past business efforts as bold and financially driven. He argues that both the Yorks and the Sussexes have faced criticism over commercializing royal links. In Ferguson's case, he suggests she pursued deals aggressively to sustain her lifestyle, but he also notes a key difference: she remained in Britain within the system's reach.
And Harry has very little to add to the party. In fact, all he's got is this Invictus Games for the wounded servicemen, but that isn't enough to satisfy him. So I think there's a huge crisis coming, which will redouble all the problems for King Charles and William.
By contrast, Bauer says Harry and Meghan operate from California, outside palace structure and oversight. That distance, he argues, changes the dynamic completely. They are independent, globally connected, and free to make decisions without royal approval. To him, that independence makes them unpredictable in a way the palace cannot easily manage. And here's where his commentary turns especially intense. Bauer claims they could pose a longer-term challenge to the monarchy than Andrew. His reasoning? Andrew's consequences were direct and contained. Titles removed, roles stripped, distance enforced. But the Sussex situation, he argues, is fluid and ongoing. New interviews, new projects, new statements, each one can shift public conversation instantly. Bauer predicts they will not quietly disappear from headlines. He believes they will continue to pursue relevance, influence, and brand protection. From his perspective, every move is strategic. Not chaotic, but deliberate. And because they operate from abroad, he suggests the monarchy has limited ability to shape or respond to their messaging in real time. His key point is this: Andrew's controversy created damage that could be isolated. The Sussex dynamic, however, remains active and evolving. The institution must constantly adapt, monitor, and respond. It's not one event. It's an ongoing chess match playing out in public view. Whether people agree with Bauer or strongly reject his interpretation, his narrative frames the Sussex story as more than family drama. In his telling, it's about power, image, independence, and the future stability of the monarchy itself. In Bauer's view, the balcony moments, the carefully timed appearances, the headline-grabbing returns, none of it is random. He argues it's part of a wider strategy. From California, he says, the Sussex operation runs independently, beyond palace reach. That distance, in his analysis, makes them one of the most complicated challenges the monarchy has faced in decades. Now he points to what he believes could be their next big move. The Invictus Games are scheduled for Birmingham next year, and Bauer claims Harry is determined to attend. If possible, he suggests Meghan would join him. Why does that matter? Because according to Bauer, major UK events offer visibility, and visibility keeps the royal link alive. In his telling, every appearance sends one message: we're still relevant. We're still connected. Bauer alleges negotiations and behind-the-scenes positioning never truly stopped. He believes the ultimate goal remains symbolic moments, especially a public image alongside the King and Prince William. In his analysis, a single balcony photograph would signal status, legitimacy, and renewed association. That image, he suggests, carries enormous branding power. But Bauer also claims public opinion in Britain remains divided, particularly regarding Meghan. He argues that strong criticism still lingers and that any attempt at a high-profile return would spark debate. At the same time, he warns that when reputations and finances are under pressure, bold moves can follow. His framing is intense, describing determination mixed with urgency. He then shifts to Prince William's role. According to Bauer, William sees long-term risk and prioritizes institutional stability above personal reconciliation. He portrays William as firm, especially after pressing for action during the Andrew controversy. In Bauer's version, William helped push decisive consequences there, and would not hesitate to act again if he believed the monarchy's image was at stake. While King Charles may feel personal emotion as a father, Bauer suggests William and Queen Camilla would likely take a stricter stance when it comes to public royal roles. The balcony, he argues, is not just ceremonial space. It represents continuity and the future of the crown. And in that future, William's judgment carries growing weight. Bauer frames William as focused on legacy. He watched the fallout from Andrew's scandal closely, he says, and learned how quickly public trust can erode. In that context, Bauer believes William would be cautious about any move that might reopen controversy. To him, this isn't about personal feelings, it's about protecting the institution. He also teases his upcoming book, promising deeper revelations about what unfolded behind closed doors in Montecito. He claims years of interviews and research support his view that certain family moments were strategically managed for media impact. Those are serious allegations, and they remain contested by supporters who reject his characterization. Still, Bauer insists his findings will surprise people. Importantly, any discussion involving the late Queen and family visits must be handled with care. While Bauer suggests that private moments were at Risk of being filmed. Those claims are his interpretation and have been publicly disputed. There is no confirmed evidence of exploitation, only sharply different narratives about what truly happened during sensitive times. Bauer ultimately argues that a return to the balcony is highly unlikely. He believes palace leadership understands the symbolism too well to risk controversy. In his words, the next generation is focused on endurance, preserving reputation, maintaining order, and shielding royal symbols from becoming commercial tools. His closing message is bold. He predicts the monarchy will outlast personal disputes, media battles, and brand conflicts. Institutions rooted in tradition, he says, survive turbulence because they control access to their most powerful symbols. Yet beneath all the headlines, Bauer frames the Sussex story as more than drama. In his telling, it's about influence, perception, leverage, and long-term positioning. Not just money, not just attention, but strategy, when played out on a global stage where every move is watched, analyzed, and amplified. Tom Bauer claims Harry and Meghan are always thinking several moves ahead. In his view, nothing is random. Every public appearance, every interview, every carefully chosen photograph serves one purpose: to signal that they are still in the royal orbit. He argues they understand timing better than most. When the palace is dealing with another crisis, or when media attention shifts elsewhere, that's when they step forward and reclaim space in the headlines. According to Bauer, it's about impact, not just being seen, but being seen at the right moment. He suggests they look for openings, global events, royal milestones, institutional pressure points, and position themselves where attention is already high. That way their presence feels bigger, louder, harder to ignore. He also insists this strategy goes beyond simple media visibility. In his analysis, the Sussexes' most valuable remaining asset is their royal link. Titles, history, association, that connection gives weight to everything they touch. Without it, he argues, projects like streaming deals, podcasts, or lifestyle brands compete in a crowded celebrity market. With it, they carry prestige and intrigue. That's why Bauer claims they continue trying to reinsert themselves into royal narratives. Even from California, distance doesn't mean disengagement in his telling. He portrays them as independent operators, no longer bound by palace structure, protocol, or oversight. And that independence, he argues, makes them unpredictable. He even describes them as a wild card, capable of shifting public conversation with a single interview or appearance. While the monarchy moves through tradition, hierarchy, and long-standing rules, he says the Sussexes move through media cycles and global platforms. That contrast, in his view, creates tension that hasn't faded with time. But Bauer makes it clear, the palace is not powerless. He focuses heavily on Prince William, portraying him as a protector of the institution. In Bauer's framing, William understands symbolism deeply. The balcony, the ceremonies, the official gatherings, these are not casual stages. They represent legitimacy, continuity, and authority, and access to them is tightly controlled. He suggests that while King Charles may carry personal feelings as a father, institutional decisions are broader than emotion. William, Bauer argues, draws a firm line when it comes to protecting the monarchy's long-term credibility. Public roles are earned through duty and responsibility, not negotiated through visibility. In Bauer's telling, any attempt by Harry and Meghan to reclaim high-profile royal positioning would face firm boundaries. Appearances would be managed, access would be limited, symbolic spaces would remain protected, not out of personal conflict, he claims, but out of strategic caution. He frames this as a battle between short-term media influence and long-term legacy. William, he says, thinks in decades, considering public trust, the stability of the crown, and the example set for the next generation. That future-focused mindset, Bauer argues, acts as a safeguard against sudden or dramatic shifts. Bauer also teases more revelations in his upcoming book. He promises further details about how royal moments were allegedly planned, filmed, or leveraged for media value. Those claims remain strongly debated by supporters of Harry and Meghan, who reject the idea of calculated exploitation. Still, Bauer stands firm in his narrative, presenting his research as layered and extensive. In the end, his portrait is bold. He describes the Sussexes as determined, ambitious, and constantly searching for leverage. At the same time, he presents the monarchy as structured, guarded, and built to endure pressure. In his view, the institution survives not because it avoids controversy, but because it controls its core symbols. The balcony is not just a photo backdrop, it represents continuity. The ceremonies are not personal branding opportunities, they symbolize state and tradition, and the public image of the monarchy, Bauer argues, is carefully protected by those preparing for its future. His final message is sharp. No matter how strategic the moves, the monarchy's framework remains intact. Leadership transitions, public criticism, and media storms may come and go, but centuries of structure don't bend easily. If this breakdown gave you a new perspective, drop your thoughts below. If you want more deep dives into the power moves, palace strategy, and media chess behind the headlines, stay tuned and keep watching, because this story is far from quiet.